Paenga o e le tio wake tarifolau. Ai whakawhehoko taki anga o e tonga I he kolope. This is Radio Wake Tarifolau, where Tongans can connect globally.
Malo moela Maria o eki pe malo le le tonga ko to pe ba nga le tio Wake Tarifolau. Tatari leki motolu e fiafini mo e tau ngai Polokalama me San Francisco, California. Te tau kamata pe tau Polokalama nga maheni o fiafi tu site, ka koe Polokalama ko ia ai tau lama ma ai tonga. Pe a ko ia ai tuk mo ke utuka e whainga Maria ko ni ka le a whātu I te tau mo e peau, pe mo Sicilia fifita ke na whaho koe Polokalama malo le wha.
Iyo, malo apito Emily, pe a Tukumua ke whatapu ke o tua mafi. E ko e anga ia e tau tuhi o kuni awhio I o tau rorotonga I taimhono kotoa pe. Pea o kokore ke tuku pe ke ma whakamalmalu I tala whatapu ko ia o whaki I he re tio Wake Tarifolau. Kai ata ke mahanga o whakakato ai Polokalama. Anga maheni ko ia e tau lama ma e tonga o whai I he whiawhi tu si te hono kotoa pe taimi walu ke he hiwa. Pea o kou fia foki he neongo e alo tāmake ana tūlaka o kui hene a Sicilia fifita ke kau whakataha moao pea pe he foki ki a Emeri o ka pau e whaiha au I tokoni ki ai ke mau kau whakataha e whaiha whakahoka Polokalama koe ni. O kui kai ke asi mai a maata pea koe mea koe na e text ma maata whakamatala mai o kumate ai uhila I matama koe ki Redwood City o ku iai, o ku ngā ue maata maale he whiawhini, pia ku koe pai ke la vai o huu mai o kau mai ke Polokalama. Kei ke ka koutui e lawa pe e Sicilia pia moau, pia pe foki a Emeri, ka pau te maa ui tokoni ki ai, ke kau mai I he pō tala noa koe ia o e whiawhini. Pia koe whahi ngā e whiawhi o ku, kai ke lai puka hānu whakarea, o ku momoko au pito, pia habiri, pia na e uha, pea no fofoke au I loto whare I ahoni tā koku o me a whātu a whare ia ka kohu au ia o kai ke uha pa ku pea aku fo I la are reipe pea koe tā maa ane na ai ke ma whe taulaka mo ane whae ma ai ki mea na ai ke ma ngā ui ki ai o tama e ane kai ke lava hau he o ku uha pa ku habiri talaka le wau kāne koe ni o sai au pito no kai ke uha ia pa o kai ke habiria. Ke kai fo ke uhu au ki toa. O vale ha kuat koe ki toa o ku hange mai ko ha whātu a whare ia. Pe tā koe ko au pēa I loto whare o ko no whā tala ko o kai ke uha o kai ke habiri. Kai ke he pa la kai re ke la maane ke whai ki ngā koe na amana ke whai. Kai no whai pe o toki hua tu ki tu ke alat ke garage. O toki ilo hake ai fu momoko ko ia o kuto e to whare mo e habiri mo e uha.
Pita.
Pea ko ia koe aho direwa na lahi pe nof e lot whare ko hige malu ke o teu mokosia.
Koe.
Tai ke ka mahalo ki lolo atu he whiawhini
Iyo. Ki malu e taimini.
Iyo, au ki malu e taimini. Au me hange pe koku. O ku tu moto o pe ku hako mai o pe ku ki more atu. Ko ia pe ko uhinga mahalena e tala mai maata ko e feitu ko ia maata e pe ko ni o ku mate uhila.
Ia.
Ka e tuku mo ke ange whakamaria ka Sicilia ke whakarea mai ai pe hospital toki hoko atu.
Malo pito lea whaka hu whaka atu ai pe. E ngai whaanga. Matapu o se o whaki. Ka koe mea tatau pe lea whahe aho ni koe hange ku mei ki maalunga ato toto ota koe haviri. Koe whakasio koe hokaunga api e ua hokaunga api. Koe ngai full redwood trees. Pea koe ngai fu o kaula lahi mon. Pea koe ne haviri pe koe mea pe whai kono whakasio pe ai u aka. O vale pe ko ma fesi pe foi va ki va si pe mo pe si su to kon mai ke o na hoko ha holo ngai fu aka he ka pau e holo he kai ke tai ma o te tuli fare ia o e ni ia he ha holo ha fu aka ka ko e ho ni ia pe a ko nge ko tau pa ta no ko ke ma ki ko ata mai le afa ai o ko tu ko ka la hi mo e a ka o mo mate u hila e ko taim tatau pe ko te no pe o whakau ke ua mai mua na toi mate uki lahang e ko foi mate ko e. Ko ke tau pure ki nga tūla ka koe anga pe te whakaana ua pe. Ko mea na e whai e no whono siofi e. Ai ua ka umoe. Le rea to whai ki whatongia lotonga ia ku lolo uha pa ko ke anga whakamalu ia e puhi ia. Na hono monia na te osiliku pe ki tai e foi hu ko ia ki tua ko ia e.
Ai koe whakatupu puke ia,
Iyo. Ka koe o whae hai mo mea ko ngoi pehe sino ia mo sia pe ia.
Iyo. Malapitiria. E ko manatu iau i wike kua osi na ku alfa ko whataha i San Francisco.
Koi.
Pea alu, kai ki o alu mo whakamalu ko pehe sai pe koe tau pe bawe pe te stepu koe ki whare. Kai ate o ki mama o ai whaitukan ai whae e tau. Pea koe whai mai ki lue i he uha. Kai ki fu uha lahi kai whi unga pe koe ka te tu uma o te biku. Pea haole wako ea pea kai ki aha whakamalu ke whakaonga. Pea wa o mai koe ki whakataha ko o si kamata ke biku o ulu. Pea whai whakataha os pea o toe pu mai ki tua o toe lue ki tau anga mea rere o mea tatau pe. Kai ke koe kua o mai koe ki apini ko tāre tai ano tatau. Tāle pe o alo au aia koe whaktu apure luna whai whakataha whalaite koe ne alu koe ki e whiawhi paki e pō whalaite ku kai te ahare oi. O osimore a hokule o he tāre ko he. Kai ke koe whoro pe fo i akau mo e inu mawhana mo e whenga ke nofo mawhana. Ai whenga koe ke mawahe atu koe ai tāre. Kai ke o wawe au pito pe. Wawe pe ne mawahe atu koe ai tāre. Ka koe whangaki mea pe he ai ko oku whai ai koe he ko alaki pe kōri ia. He koe wike pe mahalo e taha. Nai whai polo kalama nai whai ai tala noa koe ke ngahi teu koe ke whai ko uhi koe ngahi mea ko hoko taimini. Ai uha mo e habiri mo ngahi mea koe a. Pea mo e ngahi whare i koe kokulau a e te poto i rere kita he whakamatala. Kai ke te whai kita a te mea koe o ku te tala. He koe ka te tau toi whokpea whakamanatu e whare i koe ia. Pea pau ke whenga. Na kono moni o kuia e hoku whakamalu. Ka kui kai ki whakaanga e whakamalu o kutuku pe ia e mui veni.
Oi.
Kana e kai ki u alo au he ku mea rere. Na u alo au pea mo tau nuu. E tau o tau. Ka koe mea rere aku o kutuku whakamalu. Tuku whakarere pe ia i mui. Ka kui kai ki u whakaanga e whakaanga. Taim koe osi au teke i hake o osi biku au. Ka koe mea rewa ko pehe to kua ku sayanga pe ki whakatowawe pe au hupe ko whewhi tuko ko au kia ia.
Ko ane nā ia lea wha, koe pete aonga whakamalui. Koe haviri pe ia pe au hake tata koe ko teke a ia o puhi i he haviri. Pe au pehe tuku a ia. Koe pe mo lere ke au ke mea lere.
Iyo.
Ka au ku whakatuku moko sia au ki tau pita.
Ia ka koe tau whaka tai toka ngai.
Iyo.
E hoko koe e mea ka whakatuku puke.
Iyo.
Pea kui kai pe ko hatoi me eia o ku whiringa ua. A e tau puke koe i whanki whaka uha koe ia.
Oi.
Pa koe ia e toi atu pe ai whakatokanga. Ai hato ko te whaka uha. Pea kusai whuke o koe whaka uha wha hau pe nā tō pipiki pe ai me ake ko te. Kai ke te whangatua holo moi.
Oi.
Pea ka pao kui kai ai ha skafi. Ai ha whahinga skafi o matoro. Ke malu i hoto ulu. E koe taha ulu ai konga o kunelawa o ai kita ke te puke wawe i he. I he momoko, i he tāri, i he fofonu, i he hāpea whainga mea whikau aku pia mo e te mokosia. Pea koe mea pia, ka tātou te whito kia mau tōru koe o toi matu o tuange.
Ia.
O ku whia mau ke matu aki tauhi lere au pito. Pea ku whaafna e whai pia ai pō tala noa koe i he ngahe wike atu koe, whikau aki mo mo tau hiko ai va e ke mafana ke ai su ai stokeni pe aku sai au pito sai o fere puti pa ku kai ke pe ko puti aku mamafa pe ai puti o molu ka ku puti pe aku hanga malu kita pa ku te mafana pe ako me ale va fi mau ko ai to puti ai to stokeni pe o ko tu e kapau ku kai ke te lava kita o fratau ha to ki puti ko tu yo kai pe e to lahi ho to family te nau ko te ko lang pe ke fratau mai mo ki puti tata fiat kapau ko hinga ko te al ke lotu po ha fa nga fetu te alu ai e ak tau tol ko o ku tau mo tu angi ko ngai me yo to ton ki tokang ange ko vala tu e vala o mafana e o kai ke firma o ia ke neonga pe tau pe ku te kote firma pe ke ai vala loto o mafana ai vala tu o mafana pe ko tai mi fogeni ne kai ke fa ma o me aku o mafana ono inga pe ko au ko to tau kai ke sa ia al farikolo o ko taka whakapiko piko au e alko ko mea e. Ka karewa ke whakawhalarat ka hai o al ke al o mai ha uia mea ka pahe kai ke hao ko atu ia o kai ke whie maari o loto he kai ke matol whi unga ia ke whie mau. Ka pao fok he kai ke tu au o al o whai e kumi ko mea ko atu ngā pe te ulot pe o nof pe o loto i takai holo mo tai mau ai mea mawhana ko whie mau. Rea ko mea ia o whie mau na tau lau ki ai ai e wala ke mawhana tau te fito ke tau tol ko ne tau vai kau tole ke reka matu ai au pito pe ai e wala to ke mawhana al mo e wala ko hoko mai ke mawhana pe ane mo kote tu yo ku o lai pe ngai kote lai ko Amerika kai ko tonga en ke whainga ta ai mau haki mea ko e whaing ma mo fua ai mea ai pe ka pau o ku matu aki fu fie mau ha o kote mahalo ku sai ke ki whaka eke pehe koe ni ihia o maha o kote nau tolo e ua pe tolo i to ngahi maheni mo to ngahi kau ngā mea ko hiki koe mea maho inga au pito ke mauha mea ke te mawhana ai ke hiki ke lava tau ta ofi ai hu mai koe ai puke hinga taimi peheni ko ku momoko kai ke ngata e momoko kai toi uho ko ia
Ko mea mamahi koe moko sia rea wha, e koe pe tai mea o koe peke te hoi ki tai o te mawhana. E mo ui pe hita ia, pe a inu mai mawhana, ka te hoi pe ki tai o koe peke te mawhana ki tai.
O hangi ko to nima mo to bae. Ko afu o kai ke usa ia e tui stokeni.
Ko ia.
Whia pe stokeni o ko tui su atatape. Pe a ka koe hao ngai fwoi momoko koe ni, o pau ke tui stokeni au he kwange ko ai si o kau vai o kui he musia.
Moko.
Ako mea le pako ita kato foke apini. Peko ha mea koa o ko kai ai ke utu stoke ni ke mawhana. Kau vai, ufanga whakatapu. Ka ko whihia pia wai. O he ilu peko ha, maha ko anga pea te tupu i tonga tāna tau stoke ni tonga. O ke hao pia mo ta sa ia aku ia ke pango ko ngau e whihia vai ako na stoke ni. Peko e lewa ngahi su, o mai o te ai pia no ngahi awhi o nei loto ai o pange pia te tui stoke ni. Ia ka paure o kai ke maa to su o hata stoke ni pe ku te whihi e stoke ni hangi ko au. Te tui umilewa is ngahi su ko ia. Te tui wai su en i o pange pia siripa. Ko e whai ngahi su ko e croc ko au pe ko e hanoi. Ki e ka mawhana. Ki e te au o mawhana o whakalaka ange au pito e ko aloro ta stoke ni.
Sai.
Pea ai ko ngahi me e o whai kia popo e prokarama e honi ko ai he to barama ai he to balake mawhana. Alu mo skafi, alu mo ngahi tata o kui ai ngahi pini, ngahi tata ko uniti o whao pitoi he kusai he kai ke puhi he abili te tui pehot o loa mao o kui pe mo ngahi tata ko ni ai ko te sio patui he kauparangi he snow o te ilo pe kitai o kwange ko o iai no fulu o nai o te siwa pe kita ko whainga tata mawhana. E ko whainga tata pe. Pa koe, o kai ke uinga pe ia koe kau vai pe ke nau whakaongai. Tau whakaonga e mautol, whakaonga e mautol. Ka koe ngahi teu hange koe kofunima. Pere pe a kofunima. Pa koe ke fu mama whawhewe.
Ai kai.
O au o ko ki o ko mawhaiwhai alo whakatau mai ka o kai ki utui.
Ia.
Ko hao rewa koe pa koe uwhei tu koe o kai ki utui mantu iau pa ko whei ia mea o tu koe. Ka koe kai ka ko alpea o whakatau whangi of nima o hao re moia pa koe ne ngata ai he ko hao moia kai ki utui ilo au pe ka maha ka o ka mate ha aho e whakamao po poha ke eni o of nima tata.
E toki mau hake te imiko kei tiki fie mau ai.
Iyo.
Mau hake re vai.
E ka koe mea whuko o ku te rea aki, pia koe mooni ka o kai ki te whai. Hange koe ai koe a e te ngai whanki i bewe, whanki e te ki i koroa.
Ia.
Pe koe to kofuni maa, pe koe to stokeni, ai koe hana whanki whei tu peke. Pe koe te alo mai whanki inge espuha, o te wha o le rei peke, te iro le rei, pe ai whei tu o tuku ai, pia mau e. Haua e, te kum stokeni, ko o ki tai uike ko toa pe, ko hiko kake te ilo ki te whakamaa po opo i whe, e te whanki i koroa ko ia. Ko ia. Ka pau koe.
Te whakahingoa ki hoi pini ko ia, ko te sai.
Ka pau koe ki i pini, ki whanki pini iki. O koe koe ngai ke alko o mai fu pini lalai pa kake te toi haa ko ia, he whonu pini. Ai mea koe ki whanki stoken, mea koe ia e ho whanga ki i kofuni ma ka pau ke sa e kofuni ma, koe whanki tata. Whanki peunga ko ia, ko hao pe ko whie mau, ko hao e, tata te whito e hao koe ne tau roto ngalo.
O ia.
Koe te ai koe te whanki mea pa ka pau lava aki la papa whakatutu wai ange aki wharekoloa. Kai ke te tohela ia he kumi, koe te fo i hua peo hangat ki ai, laini mai whanki mea, te alewa toi mea te whie mau e. E ko au koe taha mea whakapiko ka au koe kukumi koe haku mea. Kumi pea ku lahi mahalpe mo takai mau api ko hao ni ia unuaki a singai ko hao ku loto ngalo mo te unuaki takai me ai me feitu ko tu ko pa ko atunga ai pe ia e kuno na fai ki fai aho tonaki
oi
pea ko te ki o alke fai aho ko ia ku su ia ko na fai ko ne fai ki fra ma opo ko ni malolo asione na e kai ke o kau e whakamaapopo, ka koe kau whakamaapopo, kai ke loi pene si ave e hoku whanki i motu isu, o whaoia i he pini whe o tuku i whe. Pea kua taim koe ke o teo, ko kai te atai a pini, ko oskotoe he o ka koa o peni, o whetakai holo, he whenga koe hasu ke tui ke he mea. Kai ke koe suna e mauia koe fuuputi, pea kai ke te aha kuloto koe tui e fuuputi.
Taimi rewa, ke alu wharekoloa rewa, ke mai mea kou ke whe mau.
I kai ne kai kia taimi a ke o alu au toi alu ka wheitua kumsuna o alpe me fuputi, ka koe mea maari e ko funa e tolo whai ki lalo, o puri ai pe fuputi ai lalo. A koe whanki mea pehe, ai talu koe e mau ki whetukutuku takai holo koe kai ata ai ni koe e malolo asione. Koe kai ke mau e ngahi me, e ne kai fo ke whai ai whetukutuku i he whaunga koe na totonu ke whai ai, ke rei polo u mea pe ke ilo pe koe mea ahai pe aku tuku i whai whe. Ki i whakato wawe pe o tuku noa ia takahalpa koe toi fu kātoanga make heia ai whengai ai upini ke o alu ki lalo ka mau taktaha sio pe ko whe ne koloa he upini koe.
Leke o sa te uha mo mea,
Ka leke o sa te uha mo. Koe tau tānoa he koe o koe palpale ma fo o tau ma o he tau nofe whanua koe ni. Koe fu ulahi koe ai koloa koe o tau whakatau. O fu ulahi anoa ai e tau o koe whai ma o whakatau. Pau tau ilo pera toi tau seo ko tau ngā api ene where ko hinga koe tau kumi e tau tolu ai mea o ku aonga mo mea o ku kai ke aonga. Pau tau alu pe tau tolu o whakatau hange ko tau ki taimi tau ki i pūkea tau le whakatau. Pe o mai rewa o whakotuutu. Ngai mea niu kai peke tauhanga tau tolo o whakaaongai. E koe kuhanga whakatongai e nofoi e la ei. Pena e wharekoloa o kuhange koe ni koe. Ele ngahi drugstore koe ni hange koe Rite Aid mo mea. Kana koe wharekoloa o koe pe u wharekoloa pehen. Na ui koe 50. Pena aku ofi e ku nofo ke 50. Pako ku hao mai pēo ke o alu ke wharekoloa koe whakatau mea kai. Pako paurea ko hange ko ki anga mahini ke wawhea hai 50. E ko afe ko 50 o sei la foka 50
Ko ia.
Pe ko al ko sei la fanga ki I me kai ke ilo pe ko ha no a pe ko ai ki ha. Ka ko uhi pe na tu mai ku to pe set ni mano tu mai ku to la pe ta to.
Ko ia.
Pau fa ta fa ki me. Pau fa ta re al ki ap. Ko te ha mal ko ki fal ko na sei la faka weekend. To e foki mai to e alu. Weekend ko sei la ke hei
Ko ia.
Pag whahore wau ki ka mea manof tā no sio whoki a ke utoro e peito ke where a whana ki mea whawai. Tā mai e koe hae e umea koe. Ka tāng koe umea na e mai he me seila koe 50. Tā mai rewa ia. Ka koe haho mea whai aki. Ka tāng o koe ki wangau I loi. Ka na ola pea ak seila se ni te ni manoa pau hangau o mai. Kalo ki kau mea tā mai rewa ia. Koe nau mea ia umau aki tau tolu, kon whakeke tau tolu. He ko te siat pete ki he sei lako pete, off peset ni mano koe mea lahi.
Ko ia.
Kai ke ilo e koe, o kui kai ki aha aonga ka koe, tau te whito ka koe, o koe ka tāko o ku ke manako ki he kuki. Ke aloa o mai whanki mea, ke koe whanki mea whai ake kuki. Ake alu pe whakatau noa iyo. Ka koe ne moone au pito.
Ko ia.
Kai pe pa whenga rewa tuku. Tuku koe alo afe noa ia ko whakatau seila noa ia ta ilo e pa koe aike haa whanki mea ko alo o kumi. Ka koe pe tau whanki whangaki I tō onga a tau tolu o ko hoko ia ko hifo koe tau nofo e whonuan o moho no mea ko toa pe.
Mohoni au pito.
Kai tau te whita koe pe koe seila ko tau alu rewa o. Hake kono
kumai.
Kono whakai ai koe tau tolu koe alu koe Black Friday
Ia.
O tu laini pe me tu ua po tai I me e whiapi taha le ala ke pomo taha ko e. Si e. O te ke o auto taka Black Friday.
Pe mo le afa. Talo aku me tonga o te kai ke wala ke mea ko ia. Nega pe ke fu mahoinga mari ke atea nega ke hafu mea ia ke sio. E ko uloaki pau ke e te paanga.
Ko whanki galas kia koe ni koe o ia koe whanki gadgets ke he.
Ko ia.
O ia o whakatau e mea koe ia. Taim ni koe o koe TV na e tola fiha. E whanga e holo koe toton koe TV.
Ko ia.
Whanki mea ke pe na e o ai koe o whai koe. Pea koe ni hia o pe pango whakamana ko a pe e o tu laini. Me foi po takato pe ta.
Oh ia.
E ke koe anga e tau whainga whakaukau I tau nofo koe e whonua o e mahu
Oh ia.
Tau whainga me e taim ni o ngari vare. O tau whakamore ke tau paanga he tau alu whakatau e ngai mea o kui kai ke tau whakaanga e tau mea taim. Ko au, ko e ki maha ke taha o ko mau, ko e alu o whakatau su. Pea kui kai ke whakatau e su e ta, whakatau maha su e tolu pe wha. Pea os ko ia, pea tui pe ai su ia taha ke tari hono ui, o kai ke toi tui ha su ia taha. Ka koe whata fulu mai mau pe atu loka mana kau. Pe koe haka e ko mea o mau I hon whakatau e su. E as ka ko tuku atu eni, ko holo eni koe te ala whakatau.
He hae ka pau te ke whetongi foi tolu ko ia, ke tolo ngata.
O koe fuke fuko au, o koe hatahau o fu mau inga ke whetongi.
Ui.
Ka koe mea ia ko tai mahina pe ko harewa. Ka pau koe ke umahi inga ia mea, koe haka mea ko ala whetuku mai mea.
Oi.
Pea taim ni ku monu ia te kakai ko mau whika tatau. Pea koe o mai pio mau awe katoa e usu.
Oi.
Ka koe lahi pe whangaki I mahaki na e toki mau pe I Amerikani. Koe fo koe lahi koe mea kehe.
Koe whanki maha ke o tau puke koto ai pe. Koe mo one mo. Koe watu pe ko si o he mea pe se te ni manoa pe o mai. O mai pia tuku noa ia pe ia.
Iyo. Kana e whai foke tau tānoa koe a tau tolu. Tau tānoa mau pe ke tau mateu teu Hangi koe ngau e whakafo koe no whai he siasi. Siasi maa oni. Siasi o sisu kalaisi mo e kau maa oni.
Iyo.
Ai koe ni koe ai...
Welfare.
Iyo. Ai koe nau mea
Iyo.
E koe taia mea aonga pa ke tau whai, kau kai ke tau whai, kana e ka koe mea o te ton ke tau hanga whai. Tau te whito ki he vai inu. He koe te sio koe ka pau e kai ke mao vai inu koe whaka ofa. E koe ke mea. Kai whie mao koe ke tau ai vai inu, whie mao e whanki mea toko ni ko tolonga.
Ia, koe taimi ko matea uhila. Ko te ea kita ke whare ko to wheitu, tā puni whoke o kai ule maa mai. O ka pau e ka te vai, e? Paurea ke te toi taha ati ke kolo hoko, ko ka toi. Ka koe mea lelei pe e tau mateu teu. Kolo kalama lelei au pito ia.
Iyo, ai ka pau kua mea lelei o ku tau tufi me he siasi koe ni, ko e nau hanga ko ai e nau welfare.
Iyo.
E ai o ton ke nai mea lelei pe tu tonu tau whai taki. Tau ai lewa tau mea pe.
Ia.
Aku kai fok tau lau pe tato le mea ai maa monga kai ke tau whakau tō ke tau ai mea koe au paonga.
Onla.
Koe mea tāna e nei whai tokang ke ai koe. Koe ngā he ko tau ki ianga mai tai mine tau sio koe ke mate koe uila.
Ia.
Pena tāno le vāne. I he ngahi fo i uhila, koe hakan hana ui e uhila. Ka o te lava pe kita o mai, pa o te hankita o plug in, pa ka mate uhila e ulo peia. E ulo peia o alu o se hoa mahalo ua. Ngai mea koe.
E malo te.
Iyo. Pa koe tahe ha mea o toton ke tau whai, tau sio o koe kai ke tala noa i pe mate uhila whahohoko mai.
Iyo.
Koe tō whiheni ki matangi mo mate uhila. Mako mau toluna e tō taha pe, e mau kau koe he mate uhila, e nei mate uhila mahau ai wha. Pa kono toe, koe te whanonga pena e mate uhila anoa te, mate uhila ke saute, ka mau ki hao pea, a ka angi toluna e nofo loto koe ni.
O ia, ne mau aho wha hoki mau tō.
Iyo.
Kai ofa peke o toi hoko mai.
Iyo ka koe mea whoko oku i to ton ke ai re son ke tau wako ai.
Iyo.
E ko hinga koe mate koe ai uhila, tone ke tau whakau koe ai whanki mea koe ne oku. Ani kong tāno he pa koe maha me whanki ko lusi na ni whahanga o mai whanki mea o ai he kloseti.
Iyo.
Ai ko oku te toki ulo pe ha te lue atu.
Iyo.
Koe ke loi pe koto mawhana, pakai tangata pe koe
Motion, like a motion light.
Te koe motion, tō kai ke ilo pe koe ha, koe me pe koe ilo.
Maari pe ha mea ia ko mo ui.
Te koe ko alat pe ko mo ui. Te mahalo o koe taim ko osi ai maha o lava pe o me. O charge, o kai ke ute ke wanga eke ka lusi. Ke ko fie ma uke talanki ai pe koe hai whanki me ake o ke kui mai ke lahi.
Iyo. Pe hange koe maama koe ne lau e ukuia, me Costco, whakamaka pe ia.
Iyo.
Hange ke te au koe maama lahi e maana, hange ia koe maama kasa koe tonga, he? Na e ulo lahi au pito, he?
Ai koe toton leo koe alu koe no ko Costco pe mai lewa maama.
Oi. O kai ke sa ia he te lango.
Kai, o whatu tā maki ia.
Iyo. Pakai ke lau ke ai koe ne wholoa koe ne ulo, koe whuke film se o hao me ia, he? O te ongoi pikitau koe ke sai ki te maana, ma.
Ka koe ai me eo toton ke tau oku maha tau panki mama.
Iyo.
Ila koe nina e lau ka ane. O kuanga whoka ane o mea he tamai ane o koe ai fo i uhila pe ia he loko toa peo na wapi.
Iyo. Ako Amazoni maha.
Pa tokanga ma upe ia ke ai koe uhila koe ia. Ai a koe mea koe te tau rere ke tau tolu kātoa koe ni o whanong pere tio ke tau hanga whai mea koe ia.
Iyo.
O ai tau uhila. Ia ka pau ki kai talan ko whanau. Ka manatuang ka nau tolu fie mau ke teu.
Oh, yeah.
Ai a kwange pe koe vai.
Iyo.
Ke aha tau vai ke teu. E kai ke tau ilo tau tolu pe koe hae ai mea koe hoko. Ka koe ko mautolo ko tanga o toton ke mahanga mautolo ai whakafuhina lalahi. Toton ke mautolo o puke hahina e fiha o tuku pe e apini o mea. Ke whakafonu vai.
Iyo.
Ia o stai
Tuku pe ia.
toki whetonga pe whakataini.
Ke o te hala kita.
Iyo.
O ia. Na o ma o mai pe. Ko u polokalama ko ke hu ko e wiku os. Koe na I he ni pe ia. Ka hiri pe ia he feitu ke. Pe a ko fe osa e polokalama e ko to la tau ia si he fuki ai. Ka koe hu ko te ke whai. Koe aho ua o no. Koe mahi nani. Aia ko St. Francis ia koe ispalo atore a whae. Mo whare lotu koe ai me he hiwa ke hawhe whae fiafi. No ko taimi lahi ia. Whai ai pe mo huhu flu wai.
O ko hange kau o ko health fair. Koe mea mahala e kau fine o wha. Koe mea ne tāma choice o tala mai. I a tō naki. Ai mau ai koe na tātua ke a te tau lama.
O lele pe mahal mo huhu mo me.
I o ke e whakatō huhu flu. E huhu COVID. A huhu booster. Sai Steve Lane. Ai ka pau ko te ke booster. E koe whetu ia ke whaia I he kamata he hongo fulu. Ai o kai ke o mau pe nai pe mai asos ana hongo fulu ki he ua. Pe koe hongo fulu ke fia. Pe koe hongo fulu ke taha ua. Koe ke o mau. Koe asien kau tok taha whakapapau. Ai a koe huhu. Pe a moe huhu COVID mo huhu flu.
Koe.
Koe mo tolu koe o kwhi mau mana tui. O sai au pite huhu flu ia kwhi mau ke te huhu flu. Koe ka pau te puke pe kita flu kai mama.
Mama.
Kai te tau ia mo te puke ko kai kia te malu I.
Koe.
Pu whainga ta ange te puke ko ia. Ai a
koe ni mai ia tōna koe ni.
Iyo ai ko tōna kia koe ni.
Koe. Ni flei ni. He ko ngai polokalama ia ko whi mai koe kaunti Ai ngai huhu whakawheitu vehe ka siasi koe. Whai hofuang he kakai. Ai a ua ke nia a mea. Ai hu ko ni spalo ato
Ai ko ahua ni mai ai ko Steve Lane
Iyo. Pe a ua ono rewa ispalo ato.
Ai a ko koe o ku ke alpea ko te le hake peo pa whiango ki tu.
Iyo. Me hiwa ke hawhi whau. Pai ke te whi mau appointment I ko te whoi hawhi atu peo.
Hawhi atu peo tu.
Iyo. Pea moe aho ua hiwa. Pe koe no maasi ko ispalo ato ai pe ki api ako koe na koe. Cesar Chavez.
Iyo.
Iyo. Wa hoa hiwa ia me tolu ki he ono. Pe au toi whai pe aho tatau pe ispalo ato ki api ako koe Ronald McNair.
Ai ko tui whea.
Pulkasi.
He Pulkasi.
Wanoa tol Pulkasi Avenue.
Ai koe huai, whakatau hu pe.
Tatau ko toa pe uhuhu pe kou whai koe api Katolika. Uhu flu. Uhu tatau pe. So kei toi lahi pe ai u whai anga hu. Pea koe pule lulu a hoa tolu. Ai a ko maas a hoa tolu ko Red Duty ia.
Ai koe tua pule lulu ia.
Ia. Mei he hawhe wha ki he hawhe walu e whiawhi. He ki apiako koe Everest Public High School Red Duty. He Halanima. Avenue Red Duty. Koe apiako High School ia.
Ia.
Ka hu flu ke atabe hu ko ni ke poster fa mui.
Iyo.
Ke atabe sion.
O se afe.
Siane o ku fai mea.
Ife.
Steve Lane he atonaki.
Tona ko ni.
Iyo.
Okay. Te o fe ma ai appointment ni.
Ikai.
Ko inga ki he culture center.
Iyo. Culture center.
Okay.
Koe mo hu a pong I pe Daily City. O wa I he me he taha ki he wha. Whai koe ki apia koe koe Jefferson Elementary School.
O whai Jefferson ni?
Fitu Wanima Price Street. Koe ki apea ko elementary school, we? Ka koe
Yeah.
sila ko fituani ma Price Street.
Whai a pongpongi,
Kai a pongpongi a huoa me taha ke wha.
Taha ke wha a pongpong.
Iyo.
Ia.
Lahi pe.
Au kai te whima appointmenti,
I kai.
Ai ko te alpe mo te tohi, it's on the application, Ai hu.
Das mo ki tohi huhu pe ke na hanga wha ilo kai.
Iyo, au ko ihe application ni pe.
Iyo. Iyo.
Sa ia Celia, malo masian whamanat mai, I need to get the last one.
Iyo.
Pusta hono tolu.
Ai, lewa, ko mako e ofi taha pena Steve Lane mo Daily City pa.
I sa whima ke ai mei to ko mei to he federal law ia mea. Mei osia.
Oh, iyo. Mola.
Dr. Ton ke huyaki atu ke kakaiki me.
Ko ia.
Ke nawa o lewa ki sniff lane.
Hehe.
Ai ko sniff lane, anybody can go there.
Iyo.
Iyo, heku ilo e tō tāko tope sniff lane.
Ka te whenga bongbong i whenga. I he taha bongbong i Celia.
Taha ki e wha,
Taha ki he wha. Taha ki he wha.
Atu pe mo i whika. Ika telefoni. Atu i whima o mea. Ono ni manoa hiva taha ni me nima walu.
Hiva taha.
Iyo.
Nima.
Nima walu.
Nima walu.
Iyo.
Okay, ono ni mano.
Walk in. Kai ke te aha palparema.
Booster shot.
Ke ilahi pe o tau whainga maari e. Ka ku alu pe aho,
Iyo, alpe aho.
Iyo.
Ko ne to pe ko he federal law. Ko whitano alo e neongo pe e lava pe ke make a arrangement e te toke tā ke te apply a huhu. Ka whima fu ke tau ilo i ko huhu ko ngai huhu ko niu na hanga stoa i ngai whaunga
Iyo.
Ke lava
Maku
ke.
pe o tore koti,
I ka ko hinga whaunga ko whai ko huhu ko tau ilo foki o nau tuku mai pe enough. Na mau e whai to or something around that,
Pea koe taha ka, ko ne osko e taimi ko ne uhuhu ko ni. E aule vai o e au ia ke totongi,
Ko ia.
E au ia ka
Nene.
totongi.
Koe mea kona koe te tongue and steak. O me huhu me hongo fulu ke taha.
Te whinga te whasone ko e ako pe koe kufua.
Oh,
Ko nau
okay.
ilo mau pe au ia ai mea. Ilo mau pe au ia e nau mea ko whai koe mea. Kana kai ki uta utu au ia eke ka koe ni mahino maeni. Ono o mai ko information ni.
Ko ki ngā koe ke toi whakamata latu he reti ho a pongpong ka pati.
Iyo, o mai information ni ko e time fiha ki he fiha.
Hongo fulu ke taha.
Hongo fulu ki e taha.
I sniff lane nia. Aia koe COVID vaccine, koe booster shots. O ko ai ko toi ai.
Okay.
Iyo.
Pea mo e posta.
Ama koto.
Pea mo e... Moe hafua. Te kawai pea mo e...
Kawai mo Daily City,
Ika ko hinga o te kawai pa mo ata hu kehe he posta mo e COVID.
Ko mea pea tu mai heni koe COVID vaccine, booster shots, pea mo flu shots.
Flu shot.
Kawai mo
Kaya,
flu.
Flu shot.
All available.
Wow.
Iyo. Pako reti uti le vai a hoa tolu. Uhu tatau pe. Walk in ihu. Ata pe.
Sangi he.
Kai e halanima. Iyo.
Ka tau whakawhie maari e pe.
Iyo.
Ku whie mao pe tau ngāwe ke whainga maari e.
Iyo.
Oka anga e whainga maari.
Pea koe ko California ni pe. Anywhere ki moto ko ni Amerikani. Ki tālo pe koe, you'll be surprised nā ko nei pā u whai ahu. You know. Ka whie mao ke alu of get the latest e booster shot. Ko me o wha maari e rea wha. Wai taime ni ihia, o wale pe te ki ongo i puke, Ko e whanki ongo i puke ka hangi ko te ongo i ko te mofi ka moko pe to fo i la e ia o ta. Pero me ko ha o ki whakaukau ko penga. Meri fe me te si mai ke te ma te fukta alu no ia penga a honi,
Iyo.
O ko ki tau to e a whakala la ki hangi ko taimi ko e. Pea kusai pe hangi ko ngai mea te si ke i whainga maari e pe,
Iyo.
Ka kone kaila pea paite ni kua o se taimi o pull out e toko ni a feds.
Ko ia.
Tēnā, he kōs kamara ki nā tō tuaki e o mea, mea whā he mea. Ko nā tuaki nā tō he TV, I booster shot.
Ko ia.
O ke wilo, mahape fufia maupanga, pita peka o taha.
Ia ko tau pehe, ko me ea ko whai mo ui peha nā tolo mea. O ake tōtong.
Ko ia.
Pea ko ispalato elevazione ko ahua o no ia. Sa pate maha.
Ahua o no.
Api katolika.
Te ke lau mea emaili mai aki information ko ia
Ia.
Sicilia.
Pego toksio ki aike.
Me ko hanga pe ko screenshot your text mai. Ko koloa pe ke whahasio ki aike toi whamanat pika tau kakai. Ilo na si moia toha ki fo ilau maari e ke tapo e mea kani. Mea maari e ku whanoko mai ki ho motala noa huhu. Pea ko ia e ko umai whapapau. Ka koe mau hanga tau nai pea pongpongi o sot whakaosi e.
Sai.
Pera toksio ai ke tau kahau ka hae mea e pureanga te nau kamapu e.
Iyo.
Ka ku hange pe unau pehe e treat pe COVID-19 hange pe koe fulu ohu whatau e. Something around that. Hai ko kau ia ngai mea ko tata noa i ka whi mo pull out me pandemic ka tau endemic.
Maha. Au endemic e.
Ka ko mea mau i ngā pēle a whā tau kei kau he lau whawhitai eiki. Tau kei hen. Ngai ahoni. Pea mahu inga pe tau mui e tau mea whakatoke tā. Follow moi foi akau kau tamai kau te alu ko te whaingata ia ke toke tā pe tamai toke tā e te foi akau pa hau ki tai o kai ke follow hangi ko whahinga pa anga whewhere wa a o moi o whatatau ki he mea na ke alu ke toke tā
mo ni asione
ko ilo pe tai ko mai e follow foi akau pe ko ilo pe tai mi ko ki pa pa foi akau but kako ini ko majority ho tau kakai o tau whekuki kotoa i he mea te tau sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol simple as that ko ia gali a whapekai
Iyo e kai ko ia ka ko ngā ko o ku kai fo ke tau o ko whaafa ia ko harpe ko laki lai ko ne whanki i apisia
ko ia
pa ko te eke at pe ko hamena si mate ai
kaya
mai koe ha ai koe ngā hai maha ki nei hange koe tau pehe koe toto maalunga
kaya
o kulawa o control pe a kulawa ke te whetakai pekita mo toto maalunga o au lau tau ka pau te wholo pekita fo i akau ka te tau hile rei pekita pe te lawa pekita mo ui pekita mo e te toto maalunga ka koe ka whangi kalasi o kuki tau ke si ai ko te sia kita kai ke fu kai ko tau pure tau ke mate ka ko tau sia tu ka pa na fai pe tau ki fatongi tau to ko folo foi akau o mai pe
folo foi akau pa te keep up a e te ngahi appointment ni e ko every 6 month fi mai to ta ki te house si bitoto hange pe ko si bitoto ga e meri na tuku mai a no mo ga fa ya tu he lang lau o ta kai te to kai ului po kai no more pigs
e ko me fo ko kai ke tau hanga e sione o take seriously a tau me ako ku kai
ko ia au pita
tau folo fe akau pe tau tolu kai pe ke tlam ki tau a me fo ulu po ka te kai pe ki te fo ulu po ka
ia
ai ko fenga ma tau pe ko ni ka kai dialysis ke te alpe ki tai a kai fa te ri pa te alpe ba dialysis o ke lava e dialysis o to ai kovi koe o mea kaina te hanga ko kai. Koe ki mea kune to ogo ki mea sisi pe. Ko tau whakakau whakatau tolu, te kai pe au ia whai te ria he to kotoa pe he tāra sisi ia ai mea ko o kai ke tau. Tā ku hala e mau ia he koe ki konga sisi pe o lava tāra sisi o to.
Whihala ki lewa mau.
Very
sad. He ku wai whakitai mna hanga lau ngai hao ni tau siha ke pe ku si pe ki ato hai ku Whahaka ke pe ko stroke ya hai. Paka taimi kata pe ko tau run in ki ngahi mea pe heni. Pe te tau sio ki tō tahako ia. Pe tau whafufu ai te tau, Pe tau pe he, o futu ia ngia ke mālolo. Pe te
Lea ki tau me aia, tau ngā me aia oku.
Ko ia.
Tau tu maalunga pa mai whaken fo ia kau. Pakau koe ke follow ia.
So?
Pakau pe hatu. Koe me koe ke follow ia. Tau mai kai o ko follow pa ko ongo ia o ko. Koe loia tata, hei koe te follow ki te fo ia kau. He koe ia o ko follow fo ia kau toto maalunga ai koe. Koe milligram e ni manoa.
Ko ia.
E koe me eko ko follow. Pe a koe ki te au koe ke ongo ia e au e follow koe fo ia kau. Pe koe hane whahinga ue sia o whai kia te au. Ka koe mea pia ko ilo i o whia mao ke o whole ai ki fo i akau e taha e a kotoa pe.
Ko ia. Pe koe ki fo i akau e tau wholo kotoa.
Ia.
Aia hange pe ko lau, he kai ki tau ongo i a fek, ka ngau e pe fo i akau. Ko taimi ko tu koe koe wholo koe tau fo i akau, ko taimi a koe all of a sudden, ko hao e ngai ue sia ke heke sino.
Ia
Ko taimi ko tau toki.
Ko tau pākālawa ko tau hā, ko ngai fuke kai ke tangata tolo wholo whea kau e.
Ko ia.
Kai koea, ko te ki fo i ngā ue pe kon mantu i ke wholo tu e tō taha. Ko ki wholo o tō taha pe a.
Ko ia.
Ko ke pe mai whakahua whābe. Pe tō taha.
Pea koe kau toke tā whuka unau whai pina tauria, hange pe koe taimu tau ai ko o sio ke toke tā, o ku kau whuki he mea mau inga koe e nau whia mau koe ki te toto mau pe ki mua pa te alo sio ke toke tā, he koe whunga pe unau lawa ke nau tālai tūkunga koe te moui, i he sivi toto, Pea o mai rewa e nau toluia pe ku whakalahi mai whi a kau ki haia milligram pe te tukutuku hifo te nau ilo pe where you at with it. Ka koe taimi kan ko tau whapiko pika wholo whi a kau, nau kau ai whakapiko pika wholo whi a kau, ka kou ilo pe koe ne alat pakosi mea ta mai toke tā o ku fui o lunga au pito hanga toke tā toi ai mai mea. Pa koe taimi ko kou tokanga e ai whi a kau, ne hanga rea whasi isi. Koe tau tā noa whuki. He kou tui e lea whau tau tatau kotoa pe tau whapiko piko no whoro, ka hiri ko ia o ku mau inga au pito. He koe mea pene umahi no, koe whainga whea kau koe nau tau whoro ka inga tonga. Pe kui Amerika, New Zealand, Australia, tonga, it doesn't matter. Koe mea umahi no ka tau whoro whea kau peke he mate. Koe miniti peko o koe ki tau whoro e tau whea kau. E ai rewa no wesia, poka hae wesia, ai whange ni i kai ke koe tau tā noa tau ata aina pepe koe mea e pe kai, ka kua upi ke whahinga kusi aida stroke o more nau mo ui koe. Pau nei pepe whahinga ia e lea wha, believe it or not, koe maka tai neu wanoa te inau suna rua toke tā, unau ngoi pina tō nau mo ui lele. But the truth is they don't know where their life at right now, Kai ke, koe whakatala noa te pēkia moua he i he mau inga e pokalama e tau lama e tau tā noa i ngai mea. Kia ki tau tau, tau lawa tā noa i he tau lea whakatonga palawa ki si whanau
o wha repeat pe whoke umea koe ni sione koe umea o mahu inga.
Ko ia.
Toru ia ke tau tala pe. Ki pokalama ko kwa whai mai koe ni ki muini. O whia mau ia ke tala ki mau pe ke whakamanatu pe ai ngai mea ia o toton ke tau whai. Po koe koe ngā ua koe tala tau tō ke kakai. Inga pe o tala o tau kawai ki tau tolu
Ko ia.
E koe, ako ko tala o koe whainga mea o ko tala e au, ko koe ki whai e au. Ange koe tokanga koe ki ai wala ke maa whana, tau te whito ke kau tōre ke reka.
Ko ia.
Pie mau ai ngahi sū o tui ke, koe sū o koe kai ke whakatupu tō. E ko mana tui au ia ke mo iko asio nepan, e lewa hono sū koe ngai peha siripa.
Ko ia.
E koe sū pēna e mana koe. Ka koe o ate ke toke tā koe, urak mea pe, sio pe toke tā ke sū ko ne tui tamai ke don't wear that. O te tui He ko hi he whakatupu humu ki ai. Ka koe ngā whoki koe foi step in pe o ko ngoi lewa e o ku whie maari. Pe sa ia lewa ke ntau tō tui. Ka koe o ata pe taimi iku ne mana tui. Pe whetong lewa sū. Tangi toke tā. Nā tok whetong mai pe sū koe nā he ai koe ke hau. Tangi toke tā ka ilo i o whatu tā ma ke sū. Ke te lama pe o alua i tu a humo ke tō mawhahi o uluhu whanga whakatapu. Te ko haa whahinga mea hoko ka koe. Kau saya pe su o fa ngofo pe ke fa hu pe ko mono ya ton bai.
Paka ngai flip flop ia na toki ako ia he malava hang tata fil te algo he public. Malava ke huo si mo ta wae. Apa ke kofu ia ka su. Aya kare ke to fu ngau ke sili pa kana ka fu ka fa piko no. Tu sto ke ni tu mo su. Pe ma fa na fu ka California ni ke te le sili pa ta kai holo tu ke apa
clásico guava go motu
iyo ngai ka ko vingan tu ke ngai slipa kana ta fa ngai to nga ka ko ngai slipa ko ni me he ai ni nga wela ya ke ka to nga ta tu ita ka europeo hu holo u fare kolo an so
tu be vai
eta mai o te tu e mea hange pe ko ya kona na faikacione o te tu ngai slipa ke public o hinga sai pe te tu holo pe I ho to loto fare ka ko te
mama mo loto fare pe ya te lava kita humo to ta ho to ulu ha
ki ka ta ma na te ki ma to tu ange ka ma tu fu le fa go ki ta u to ni ma o la pe go le ta kai holo pe mo e
ka pe ki
pa ka ko na to go na i 60s o te tu silipa na ke humo ma to go ma ke
Tamai to ke tai ko humu ya ko ke la ta o ya
e kai ko me ko faga fa ko fa ni hia o ku to pe tau e ulu ha mea
I know
o ho kwai mo le mo ui ko ta pa te pi po ka an kai ko poi ni o pa pe ke fai ai ta la ia mo fa to ka ngai
ka ya
o hi ke mai pe ke ta tol o fere pe fanki me ta ngai api o ko au le fu hange fu stand ko me na mai ke tu ai drip asione pe mai tu ko mau ki hallway pe kai mo ke fai mo hiki me pe ko ala tu hu mo me kai pe ke to me pe ko foi me tu ul go fa osi ko to ki me alori to fare e matari ka ko clau ke usi o pe o fa tu ta ma ke tu ke fai mo to ata ta kia ka la to home ha home I ki me a ni tu
ke fa malo ka mo ko to e tau ki mi te tol le fa te a me ke fi la ve ke to mai
ke ga me a fi la ve ko fa
ko fe tau ko to ta missing tonight
o ko ne foi excuse ta ma mate uhila
what is that got to do Colosima
ko me fu na we
oh ia tau si ga we ia te how pe ia wai pe fe tu he ni o mate u hila I te li city ngai poloka ni but fortunately o ku mauto mau kai ki te ha mate u hila for a long time
the Michael Redwood City
ko ia
and I ka mo ia mate u hila
ia ko mama tolu te fa ko ceremony mo ki ngai panke mate u hila ia pia mau ke panke ara panke ia ku mate up the panke they don't even have backup power ki ATM and stuff so kai ke o fala het ka moa tanto ki filonga ke ka mo ya
malo
me ale fa
yo
iya oh yeah
Sila ay tato, fatu
Dio wake tai whalau e tau tai mi hoto tonu ai hiwa, pene motok mea mai ke polo kalama koia e tau lama ma ai tonga. Te tau hoko at ke tau polo kalama hoko, ai a koe polo kalama ia au iloa koe Empower, ai au tataki mai ia e Southern California Pacific Island Community Response Team. Pe a kau tui ko o si mau heni ai o ngo whawhine ke na whahoko a e tau polo kalama, pe tu pe mua ke o atu hatau ki i whanonongo, o tau taitari ai ke mau maali e mai tahaina polo kalama mahu inga o pito i mai kainga, tau te fito, ke ngai tokoni o ku o mai ma ki tau tolu, tau te fito ke whituko ne Southern California. Whawhikau aki eni mo tau tokoni, ki he ngai palpalema ko mai whiriuri waki ai ea, pea nau tokoni foki ki tau tolu, ki he Pau nau tau tokoni foka te tau tolu ke tau lava o matatari ai ngai palopalema o mai e whiriuri waki ai ea. Koia, tu peo ate tau whanki whanono, tau taitari ai ke tau polo kalama hoko.
Need help paying your electric or gas bill? Let us help you. Call Empower at 626-660-1096. Is your vehicle failing its smog check?
Oh no!
We got you covered. Call our Empire team at the Southern California Pacific Community Response Team for free financial assistance. 626-660-1096.
Mea lele. Kai u mea lele pensini o naukau ke tāna gilahi ke wheliuri waki o ea. I lele loloa o kuiku kono wha uri o ea, mo na wha mawhana ilahi o mamani, mo maalunga ngeai ai tahi, o whaingata ngeai ki o tau ngahi whaamiri o tumotu, ke nau mo ui fie maarie. Liliu lewa he ahoni, mi he pensini ke mea lele uhila, mi he SoCal PIRCT. O kumao e he mautimi Empower ha u totongi whakafoki tai totongi, mo polo kalama ke whakawhaingofua mo whainga maarie, ai whakawhetongi, telefoni, ono wa ono noa, noa taha hiwano, ke tokoni o whakasiisi ai uri o ea mo malui ho taukakai.
Looking to make your home more energy efficient? Empower at Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team offers free programs to help you. Call us 626-660-1096.
Dio wake tai whalau pa te tau wakaile waki e tau polo kalamako tuipe ko mau mai a Melody kai uma a foki a Shana ke na ko kinaua te na whakahoko ai polo kalamako e ni. Melody, how are you doing? I think first of all I have to make you co-host so you can share anything on a PowerPoint presentation before we start, and I think Shana is in also. Okay, let's welcome Shana and Melody to our program today. And thank you so much, ladies, for making time to talk to our community about the importance of this project and this program for our Tongan community as well as the Pacific Islanders. I'll let you start, then we can discuss as we go. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. And thank you, Radio Tonga, for allowing myself and Shana to come into the space today to share a little bit more about the work that we do. As mentioned, we do work for the SoCal Pacific Islander Community Response Team. My name is Melody Satele. I'm currently serving as the Environmental Justice Community Organizer for SoCal Pickert. And I'll hand it to Shana to introduce herself too.
Hi, everyone. I am working with the Empower program, and I am the program data coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so together, Shana and I are working through the Empower program to promote environmental justice. And so the organization that we work through is the Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team. Our organization was founded through what was happening during the pandemic and ensuring that, our people, our Pacific Islander people were able to access vaccines, access all of the information about COVID, and to be able to get the resources that they needed during that time. And so coming out of the pandemic now, our group is looking to explore other ways that we can be supporting the Pacific Islander community. And one of those ways is through environmental justice, which is what Shauna and I are here to discuss a little bit more about. So for today's program, we are going to be focusing on introducing what environmental justice is, and then also how it connects to our work with Empower. So you've probably heard some of our ads on the radio already. And so Empower, with the work that we do, we really just want to make it easy for everyone to be able to participate in environmental justice. And that can look a lot of different ways, but the ways that we want to do it is by helping folks pay for their utility bills, helping them purchase an electric vehicle or hybrid vehicle, for example, paying for smog checks on your cars, and then also making some upgrades to the utilities in your households to make them more energy efficient. And so these are some of the easy ways that we want to be able to help our community, especially financially, because we know that's a really big factor in how folks are able to, participate in these kinds of things. So with Empower, everything that we offer is free. And we wanted to share a little bit more today about how this work connects to environmental justice. So with that, and again, if anyone has any questions at any point, you're welcome to share it in the chat, and then we can also discuss those as well. But to start us off, we just wanted to discuss a little bit more about how Shauna and I were first introduced to the idea of environmental justice. And so, Shauna, did you want to start us off first and how the idea came or was presented to you?
So thank you, Melanie. The idea of environmental justice and doing work for environmental justice, it happened really slow for me. A lot of things were either something I was reading on social media, something I saw on the news, or just random conversations here and there throughout life. But I think my big push was when I started doing my own gardening. You really have to do your research when you get into gardening, even if it's just in your own backyard. Got myself some chickens, which was really exciting, especially for my sister. She had chickens first, which she likes to remind me of often. But yeah, it was pretty slow. It was gradual. And then being introduced to this work through Empower and SoCal Pickert, I was a bit nervous at first, but I just kind of jumped in. And yeah, that was my introduction to it. It was slow and steady. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was very similar for me in that I had heard about it before, but I didn't really fully understand what environmental justice is. And I think for a lot of people too, and probably some folks that are listening in today, they couldn't really define what environmental justice is. And it didn't become clear to me until probably like a couple of years ago when I was in college. And then I did get to hear about the Protect Mauna Kea movement back in 2019. That was when things were picking up during that movement. And for the folks listening who aren't familiar, the Protect Mauna Kea movement is still ongoing currently right now on the Big Island of Hawaii. So Native Hawaiians are advocating for their land and for having access over their land too, because they're trying to build a telescope on the mountain, but they didn't approve that telescope without the approval of Native Hawaiians in the area. And so I first heard about that in college, and then I started getting involved with that and understanding that environmental justice doesn't really look at or consider what Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders need. And a lot of times that means that like our land is being taken from us, or that we're not able to take care of ourselves in the way that we always have. And so that was how I got introduced to it. Like growing up, I had never really heard about it. Like the only thing that I knew was like you reduce, reuse, and recycle, which is what, we tell everybody. And it's like, that is environmental justice. But like when you live in like the city, for example, like growing up in like Los Angeles or like San Francisco. For me, I grew up in San Bernardino. Like, you're just not around nature, and it's like you don't have that connection or really get to understand what that means until you experience it firsthand. So that was my first experience with it. And then I kind of just went with it because it made the most sense to me. It's an effort to take care of our people, to take care of our land, and take care of our water, and make sure that, you know, we can continue to practice our culture the way that we always have. So that's one way that I looked at it, and it became a lot more personal to me in that sense. And so I think that kind of segues into, like, what do we think of when we say environmental justice? Like, how do we define that? And I think there's a lot of ways that you can do something like that, because environmental justice encompasses a lot of different things. But one of the ways that we define it is, like, environmental justice means that all people, regardless of your race, your gender, all of those things, it means that all people are treated fairly, and they're involved when different laws and regulations are being put in place about the environment. So that's what we think of when we say environmental justice. So when there's not environmental justice, then that means that there's environmental injustice, right?
Yeah, that's not something that I always was able to put together, thinking about environmental justice. I always just saw it as just being like not littering is what I thought it was for a long time. And then hearing more and more about it, it was these systems were put into place like on top of us, over us, and without our permission. And is that what you were explaining?
Yeah, no, that is, when I think of environmental justice, it means that with the systems put in place, that it's fair for everyone to be able to live in a healthy environment. So when people don't have access to that, that means that they're being exposed to really high rates of air pollution, for example. So like for me, I grew up in San Bernardino, California, which is in SoCal. It's in the Inland Empire, and in that area, there's a lot of air pollution because of the Amazon warehouses. And we love Amazon. We love to place our orders, get it to...
You don't say that out loud, though.
Yeah, get it delivered to us because it's easy. But then those warehouses are located in areas where people live. Like a lot of our people live in areas like the Inland Empire and Los Angeles, where there's so many of these warehouses. But they don't put them in like the wealthy areas like Malibu, and just other places where, you know, folks have more money that they're making. And so that's like one of the examples about one of the systems that's in place, right?
Yeah, I'm new to Riverside area, and going from LA to here, it's like the air quality is ridiculous. And to know that it's still not that great, it just blows my mind, because then it's like, where is the real air, like the good stuff?
Right, yeah. Yeah, and it's like, it's always in those areas where our people are able to afford to live. Like if we could live in nicer areas, then we would, right? Yeah. But it's like things like that, like not having a safe and healthy place to live, not being able to afford clean foods and vegetables and fruits and things like that. Those are all examples of environmental injustice. And sometimes it's hard to think of it in that way, because a lot of times we put that blame on ourselves, like, oh, I need to make more money to be able to afford that kind of food, or I need to make more money to have an affordable house. But a lot of times there's other things in history and like in the government that make it difficult for us to be able to do those things. So
it's like really bringing those issues to light. It shows how much environmental justice affects all of us in that way.
Yeah, and that's to say that we we want to use this as an opportunity to raise awareness about that, you know, it's not our community's fault that we live in these kinds of conditions. There's a lot more that the governments and our local governments can do to support our people and to make sure that we can breathe clean air, that we have clean water, and that we have safe homes to live in too. And so Empower tries to do that a little bit too, in helping to get rid of some of that financial burden and make it easier for, you know, our people to live comfortably too. And to go off of that too, I did want to ask Shauna, so I know you were sharing a little bit about how you got introduced to environmental justice, and is it something that you have incorporated into your life like more frequently these days? Because I know we both also work for Empower, so how do you see this and that knowledge coming into like your daily life now?
I think on a personal level, I feel like I'm still growing in that aspect, which is really nice. Like you can still learn more every day, especially with environmental justice. You not only can learn about the planet itself, but also the issues that, you know, we've caused. But with Empower, I kind of used my introduction to environmental justice as like the stepping stone, really. You know, not everybody is really into environmental justice, and I understand that because I was there at one point, and it was those consistent conversations, even if it was just ones I was overhearing. And so that's how I use like our program. When we're out there and we're tabling events and we're talking to community members, it's kind of the start of a one-on-one conversation, and maybe just that added conversation that gets someone to like seek outside of us to continue those, you know, maybe at home or looking that information up online on social media. Almost like the algorithm, right? Like you look up one video and then you just see like 1,000 of the same afterwards. That's what I hope Empower is to like our communities. It's just another conversation, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's been very similar for me too, in that like some of these conversations are a little bit newer for our people, or even understanding it as environmental justice. Like that's a term that we're coming to use a little bit more these days too, and you know, putting some events that we see happening and being able to define that as environmental justice too, I think is what Empower does. And just making sure that people understand that there are resources available to them too, and that Empower is also here to support them in getting access to some of that funding, because all of the programs that we offer too are free, and we just want to make sure that, you know, there is someone from the community that is helping you to access those resources and to make the most of them while they're available. So that's kind of where we're coming into this too. And yeah, just drawing from some of those past experiences, what we have learned like from our own lives, you know, living in the cities too, and just seeing climate change become a more common discussion and something that's easier for us to talk about too, because of how much it impacts our communities and our families, both on the islands, back home, and then also here while we're in the United States too. And overall, we just want to make sure that our people can live safe and healthy lives. So we're very thankful for this opportunity to you know, be able to be sharing some of this information with you all. And going back to what we were mentioning earlier about how we both got introduced to environmental justice, and how it's becoming something a little more easy to talk about these days within our community. Shauna, how did you kind of get started, like, in looking at this as like a career path? Like, I know it's a difficult, you know, it's hard to discuss sometimes because it's like, it's not like you're a doctor, you're not a lawyer in some ways, but it's still good work, right? And it's still work that needs to be done. So how did you kind of transition into wanting to do this like professionally?
I laugh a little bit only because I didn't know this was a career path. So when given the opportunity to take this job, I had just really started getting into my own as far as, wanting to learn about environmental justice and actually putting some of those things into practice, like within, my personal life. And so when the opportunity came, I kind of hesitated just like a little bit. But, I talked with my husband and he was like, go for it. Like, there's no harm in it. It literally can only do good. Just put yourself out there. And I did. Super exciting. I mean, it was a little bit, I wouldn't say rough, but like, it's definitely a change. I took what I viewed for a long time as a hobby and like turned that into my only conversation for work, And so that part made it easier. That was something I was already passionate about, something I was already talking about. And now I get to put that out into the communities. And it's been good. I mean, was it something that you thought you'd be doing for work?
Yeah, no, it's interesting too. I feel like I also had a similar experience because I, just found out what environmental justice was like 3 years ago, probably, or even 4 years ago. So at the time it was really new to me, but everything about it, as I was learning and as I was participating in these protests, like it just made sense to me. Like it's more than just about the environment, but it's about, being able to protect our people and to do good for our people in ways that we haven't always gotten to. And I think environmental justice is something that does need to be talked about. And even now, I think there are more resources for our people within like healthcare, like getting access to doctors and to medicine. There's more representation for us in like mental health and all of these different areas. And it's a really good thing for our community too, because we've needed it for so long. And I still think that environmental justice is on the way up to, reaching the level that we have in terms of being represented in, the different areas that we need it. And there are, of course, a lot of, activists back home on the islands in Tonga and Samoa and across all of the islands that are doing this work. And sometimes it's a little harder to connect those things to us that live here in the United States. Because it's like we're not always seeing, how our islands are sinking back home, or we're not, directly experiencing all of the tsunamis and all of the, major storms and things like that. But with the way that our climate is changing, they're going to become more frequent. And so we really want to use this to, get our people here in the United States to, be aware of that and, to start figuring out ways that we can protect our families in our homelands back in the Pacific. And that was one of the things that moved me to want to pursue this as a career path, just because it's very important. And down the line, I think we're really going to need to have these kinds of conversations before, it's too late.
No, definitely. But you said that you only started a few years back. Does that mean you started college on a different career path?
Yeah, I did. When I started college, I went in as a biology major.
That's not that far off, though.
Yeah, it still kind of had to do with the environment, but it was more so just to become a doctor, because that's always, what the parents want. They're like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to, be the biggest thing and, make the most money for everyone. But even with this pathway, I think there are different ways that you can make money and, to be that voice for your people and for your family too. And so to me, I think that's something that's just as important as being able to, educate our families too, and to be able to include them in those kinds of conversations about environmental justice in ways that we haven't gotten to before.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I hope your parents weren't upset though.
Yeah, no, it was a interesting conversation, but they've accepted it now and they're very supportive now, which has been nice. You know, sometimes you do have to have some of those hard conversations, like with your parents too, and, you know, just letting them know that there are different ways that we can take care of ourselves too, you know, outside of just making money, which is a big thing.
Definitely.
But, you know, having a home to go home to is also very important too. And that's why we need environmental justice too. So
do you feel like your parents' reaction to your work is similar or different from maybe your communities?
I feel like my parents' reaction was what I would expect from the community. Just because, you know, as I mentioned, it does feel sometimes that environmental justice is something that's very new to us to talk about here. But as I got more involved and I started working with like SoCal Pickard and I started working with other organizations too, I realized how there really is a network of a lot of people that are fighting for these things and have been fighting for them for years before this, which is really inspiring to see, you know, when I was first introduced to it versus what I think about it now, and seeing how much community support there is. And so in terms of the work that we do with Empower 2, having those one-on-one conversations with people, it is still something that is very new, especially, you know, with the folks who are the ones that are paying the bills, who are purchasing the cars, who are getting the smog checks. It is something that they haven't really gotten to understand as much as they probably would have liked to, or, you know, because there's so much money involved, like they don't want to be putting so much into it. You know, like folks just want to like put food on the table to pay, you know, their house bill, utility.
Like life gets in the way, you know?
Yeah, and it's like when you're worried about that, like, what am I going to do with the environment? Like, you know?
I gotta help me, right?
Right.
But I mean, like, that's kind of one of my favorite talking points with Empower is, you know, we are meeting you where you're at. We're trying to meet those basic needs so that we can continue the conversation, you know, to get to the more like pressing issues. Yeah. Like, we would love for you to have solar, but I mean, a discount for your electric bill it's just as nice.
No, yeah, it helps everybody. And even the gas bills have been going up.
Oh, that one hit hard.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing now is, I feel like that is the biggest barrier always, is being able to pay to take care of yourself and your family first. And that's what we're here to do, is to make that process a little bit easier. So that way you can look at the other ways that you can support your family with that money too. So with that, I think we can transition into a break right now, if that's okay, Emily. And
I was just gonna say that, but before I will give you, I will play some of the commercials. Thank you, ladies, for all those nice and good information that you're sharing. Even your discussion empowers us. From all the questions that you asked about environment justice to Shana, and I was trying to reflect myself when you introduced me this project, this program. You know, when you sent me the email and said, we want to do a radio ad with Radio Tonga for the Pacific Islanders about environmental justice. And I look at you and I goes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this will go with our community, but all I know that environment like climate change affect us inside out, but we don't realize that. We are the Tongan community, and I can say that on behalf of the majority of the Tongan community, that we can connect environmental justice to our daily life and how it affects us economically, how it affects our health, how, you know, it affects everything. And that's but when I look also, when I look at the environmental justice, when you send the email, it's just, it just reminds me of home. Before I moved here to America in 2012. I was working for a non-government organization that most of our project was on environment. You know, most of the donors and the funding comes through us, through the government, and they use us to do the job to the community, talking about climate change. For 8 years, ladies, it's the same thing what you're going through now. Just imagine that you're standing there in front of the community level, you know, the islands, the villages, the grassroots, and then start talking about climate change. They will all go to sleep, to be honest, you know. They just not interested. They just say, forget it, Emily, go home and do something better than that. They just can't connect it. But meanwhile, in the government, money were coming left and right to help the people to build their capacity to face the challenges of the climate change. Because, you know, like you said, the island is sinking, the sea level is going up, it's affecting their livelihood, blah, blah, blah. So we have to do it just for the sake of doing it, even though the community don't even accept it. Maybe if it's talking about how to plant vegetables, they will go for it because they know they will get some vegetables, you know? So we keep on doing it. We change the strategies around so at least the community in the local level could capture how this climate change is affecting them. You know, how they can help with the climate change, how they can help themselves to resist and to build the capacity to cope with the problem of the climate change. Anyway, to make this long story short, ladies, we talk and said, okay, you got to plant the vegetables because that will help you to be more healthier. So you can resist when cyclone hit, you can run. If you are not healthy, you can't run. You know? We have to make those kind of examples so that they can, they can localize the issue.
Yes.
You know? And up to a point that they said, you know, the cyclone is all God's creation. He created cyclone, and the cyclone can come and do whatever it wants because it's God's will. And then I have to debate with them. And even God give you a nice, a good capacity, a good brain, so you can even think about doing something that you can cope with those problems, but not sitting there and keep swept away with the environment. Melody and Shana, when you sent the environment program, and I thought to myself, it would be harder for us in the United States to absorb the importance of the environmental justice. You know, I've been talking on the radio. Every time I play the commercial, then I have to actually elaborate on it, so that they at least sink in. You know, even I wanted to say, let's do a poem competition. Like you call me and give me a poem about environment and how it's affecting, how the climate change affects you here in the United States. So you know what I mean? So they can actually localize, like they say, you think globally and you act locally. You know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not giving up. I'm not saying I'm giving up because slowly, I think they can see the impact. Because I even talk about, you know, what's going on now. You know, all this cold weather, all this rain that we were not used to it, all this whatever happened in Texas, whatever happened there, people die from too much heat, blah, blah, blah. It's all about climate change. And this project is not only help us to cope with those problems, to cope with the high rise of the price of the food and all those things, but it helps us to help the environment too, because we need to keep the environment as it is, not worse, for the benefit of our kids and our grandkids. You know, if we're not going to do this now, our grandkids will suffer more. But if we love our children and our grandkids, then we need to save it for them. And this is one thing that we have to do. At least we do something. But when our kids grow up and then ask us, what did you do? All you do is ruin the environment for me. Is that what you prepare for me for the future? But you know, but when you guys discussed it, and I was thinking about what we experience back home, you know, because now everything is ruined at home. In Tonga, all they do, the majority of the income comes from here, from us. But now we see the impact of climate change on us, you know, then where are we going to look? Where are we going to ask for help? At the same time, when I look at the email, and I thought to myself, it's just about time, because we haven't had any assistance whatsoever from the government, because the government didn't recognize that we suffer. Pacific Islands suffer more than any other races or ethnic group. You know, it's the same thing when we suffer COVID-19 because of our way of life. You know, and I thought to myself, oh, thank God, finally. But at the same time, we need our community to utilize and use that. Otherwise, the fund will come there, nobody calling and goes, like the government goes, oh, Pacific Islands don't need that, and we're going to take it to the Asian again. They might need it, they will use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what I've been emphasizing when we do when we air the commercial, the ad. I've been asking them, make use of it, or else the government will say, okay, bye-bye, so-called BSCRT. It seems like that Pacific Islands don't need it. Maybe they're okay. Little that they know that we suffer the most. You know?
Yeah.
So I was just bringing that up because what you experience is like the same, not only here but in the Pacific Islands too. Yeah.
But I understand that coming from them, like back home.
Yeah.
They didn't cause the problems. They don't live that life that created these issues. It's us here.
Yeah.
And that's where it should start.
Yeah, yeah. And also we have to make them understand that too, you know. That's why that sea level rising, because of all those industries in America, but not you. But and that's the reason why all this money, maybe the majority of the fund of the government now comes from climate change. Yeah, and like when you talk about careers, now the students are thinking about doing to study about climate change, because there are lots of opportunities for them. You know, my brother was doing his study major in engineering, and when he came back home, then he realized, oh, environment and climate change have a lot more opportunities there. So he changed, and then he goes and completes master's in energy saving, something like that.
Oh wow!
That's beautiful.
And he got lots of contract. You know, even for our community here, we should look at it that way too. There are more opportunities to study, to work on in climate change or environmental justice, anything to do with environment nowadays. That's the change nowadays.
Yeah, and I think as Pacific Islanders, we have a lot to offer in that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll give ourselves a break. Then we'll come back and finish up the program. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Emily.
We'll be back.
Is your vehicle failing its smog check?
Oh no!
We got you covered. Call our Empire team at the Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team for free financial assistance. 626-660-1096.
Mea lele. Kai u mea lele pensini ong naukau ke tāna gilahi ke wheliuri waki o ea. I lele loloa o kuiku kono whauri o ea, mo no whakamawhana ilahi o mamani, mo maalunga ngeai ai tahi, o whaingata ngeai ki o tau ngahi whamiri o tumotu ke nau mo ui fie maarie. Liliu lewa he ahoni, mi he pensini ke mea lele uhila, mi he SoCal PIRCT. O kumao e he mautimi Empower ha u totongi whakafoki tai totongi, mo i polo kalama ke whakawhaingofua mo whainga maarie ai whakawhetongi. Telefoni, ono wa ono noa, noa taha hiwano. Ke tokoni o whakasisi ai uri o ea mo malui ho tau kakai. Whe mau tokoni ke totongi ho ngahi mo ua uhila pe kasa, whakatamai ke teng mau tau ke mau tokoni at. Telefoni ke Empower, ono wa ono noa, noa taha hiwano.
Looking to make your home more energy efficient? Empower at Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team offers free programs to help you. Call us 626-660-1096.
Tube o te tau ki whanonga wha aus pega ni oi mwe kainga mo wakai ke whika telefoni le mo lawa tāki ai ka pau whia mau hatokoni whika o aki mwe polo kalama koe ni.
Te whetongi ha melele uhila, ahi ke mau Facebook a kia whatau wha maa i SoCal PIRCT pe telefoni ono wa ono noa, noa taha i wa ono.
Okay, Shana and Melody. We'll come back to you now, and we continue on with our environmental justice talking.
Awesome. Because our next kind of subject was how our communities can support environmental justice, without making it a career change.
Yeah. So, we loved what you shared with us, Emily. There are a lot of opportunities for people to study environmental justice, to look at some of the science behind why it happens too, and then also, going into the law field to become an environmental policy lawyer, or even working in the health field and looking at medicine and different plants that can be used that are, not manufactured but are traditional, and in some of our islands too, we used those in our ways of healing and to take care of ourselves was with, the natural plants that we find on our islands. And sometimes, in the United States, it can be a little bit more difficult to do those things, or to even practice environmental justice. But, and Shauna can speak to this too, there are so many ways that people practice environmental justice that they don't even know is environmental justice too. So, yeah, even just buying local foods that are grown, in your city or in the surrounding areas, that's environmental justice, right? That's something that we have always done. We buy our taro and our other foods from, the people that sell it around us. Or even when you have a barbecue at your house, you buy all the aluminum trays and then you wash them and save them to use them again for the next event.
An absurd amount of aluminum trays.
Yeah, a lot of aluminum trays, but you just keep reusing them. Those are really easy ways that you can be practicing environmental justice, or even with your kids, having them passing on the clothes from your older kids to your younger kids, the hand-me-downs, letting them reuse those clothes instead of just throwing them out, is a really easy way to practice environmental justice in your daily life, without making it your entire life too.
Right. And I love that part though, the passing down the clothes, because it's not just from kid to kid or between siblings. Some of my kids have worn made clothing, our Tongan clothes, from my cousins or my older brother. And I think it's so cool to have those photos of my kids in clothes that my cousins wore. So that's nice.
Yeah, my family, we've had the same Lagassis since I was born. Like we've always reused those. Everyone wears them, and you just see them all in the different pictures. Like,
oh, I'm in my mom's closet stealing all her stuff. She can sell you that.
Right. And it's like those are convenient ways too, right? That you can be practicing it. Like you don't always have to be buying new stuff. You can use what's already
you can't buy your way
your
out
house.
of climate change.
Right. Yeah. So these are just some, of the easy options that, we all do and that we all do already. So with that, I think too, that leads into my next question, for us to think about too, is there, or do you feel, Shauna, that there is currently a disconnect between, the way that we practice our culture and how we also live to be environmentally friendly too?
Like, I think the disconnect comes more within like the views of it. So many times I hear it's compared to white people and being environmentally friendly. And it really takes away from like our culture and the things that we've done and like how, what was the good one? I had read a post on Instagram or something, and it was, complaining of all the pollen, and it's talking about, male trees release the pollen, and then that's the issue. And it really got me thinking about how there's no fruit trees like anywhere in our cities. And my husband is, because he grew up in Tonga, so he's like always telling me stories of like, what he used to do as a kid. And it's really just like walking up to a tree with fruit, and you just grab one, you sit there and you eat it, you share with your friends, your cousins, and whoever. And I feel like the disconnect there is not seeing that possibility like here in the States. And I think once we start having these conversations more frequently, we'll realize that the way we live back home is environmental justice, and the way we're living here is the injustices. And yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I think about that a lot too. Like for our people, like we are Indigenous people too, and I think we share a lot of similarities with like the Native American people in the United States too, and how we live and how we would take care of ourselves before, we had like the American dream, before all of the, the economy became huge around the United States. Like, and the way that I think about it too is that all of our cultural traditions and the ways that we take care of our families back on the islands, we did it by, living off of the land and taking care of it too. We weren't just always taking from the land. We took care of it because if you didn't take care of the land, then you wouldn't be able to like grow the foods and the fruits and veggies for your family and for yourself too. And that's another thing that comes up a lot too, is like, how do we, bring back some of those cultural ways of living while we're in the United States, and for people like who live in cities and they don't, always get to see like those fruit trees, or don't understand, that they have to have both the male trees and the fruit trees to be able to, have fruits like in the city, growing in the city, like it does on the island,
I will admit, moving into the house I live in now, I didn't love the idea of having a bunch of fruit trees in the backyard. I thought it was like, it was a lot of maintenance. I don't know how to take care of them. And then like figuring out how to take care of them really kicked off like that part of me, like wanting to grow my own fruits and vegetables. And it is really nice to be able to walk into your backyard and just pick a nectarine and then just eat it. Like it tripped me out the first couple of times, But I want to see that more, within our communities, being able to just access food like easily, through our own spaces or like community gardens on the street. however we can get that done would be nice.
Yeah, and I did want to ask too, like, how was that process like for you of like you started taking up gardening? Like, was it like, I know some people, like you were saying, like it's a lot of maintenance, like, but now that you have a lot of experience with that, like, is it something that is expensive? Like, is it something that people can do like frequently too? Like, would you say that it's something that most people can try to start practicing too?
I don't want to sound discouraging, but because of the soil in a lot of the places where most people live, it could be expensive to rejuvenate that soil and actually get life back into it. But finding your love for it or your passion for it, that is so easy. Like, you throw one seed on the ground and something grows and you want to just do it over and over again. There's definitely a learning curve as to like your zone, because it matters a lot what it will actually grow or what grows well in your areas. Still learning that. Like the levels of like the soil, like their pH levels, like that's a thing. So when you start looking into it, it gets a little discouraging because you're like, that's so much information that I don't understand. But it's super fun. It's so much fun. I remember being so excited when my first tomato turned red. I almost ate it too soon.
Yeah, that's cool though, because you know, like I know, like even like for me, like I don't have a yard or anything to be able to like start an actual garden, but even just like doing a quick Google search on like how people started, like you'll see that there's so many groups like in your local area too, like that are doing community gardens or that have some of the resources to buy that soil, that, you know, they want people from the community to be involved in that too. And it's just a Google search away. Like they're always looking for people to be a part of it. And that's, I think that's a really easy way to, like, if you aren't able to do it at your own house, like, you know, connecting with people that are doing that thing already and, you know, would like to use or have that kind of support from other people too.
Yeah, and a lot of these local or like community farms or gardens, they even have classes. They'll walk you through step by step. And since they are local, they know what grows well in your area, and they also understand the lack of space. Watts Farm is one. I really enjoy following them on Instagram. They have classes and they have volunteers come out and they've planted trees and all kinds of stuff. And then they just turn around and give that food straight back to the community, like no cost. And I love that idea.
Yeah, which is, and no, that's really cool. And that's actually to say too that Shauna and I are working on a project with a group called the Young Samoa, which is based out of San Bernardino, California, to work on developing their community garden a little bit more. Their group works specifically with Samoan youth. So we're working on, you know, bringing environmental justice to youth and being able to educate them in that way by, you know, getting that hands-on experience in a space where they're able to plant seeds, get in the dirt, and then learn, you know, how to take care of the plants and to keep them growing for as long as they can. And you know, for us, the educational aspect and like we were mentioning earlier, being able to educate our people as soon as they're willing to be is, you know, the biggest thing, especially for our youth who are going to be leading the future and who are still able to, you know, practice some of these things a little bit more as they grow into it. Because I know, like we were mentioning too, like we didn't even know what environmental justice was until like a couple of years ago, which is crazy because it's, you know, it's always existed and it's always been present. And our, you know, our entire culture as Pacific Islanders is based around taking care of the environment because that's our home and that's where our land and where our culture and our languages come from too. So just being able to see that while living in the city in the United States, completely separate from our homelands, has been, you know, a challenge in and of itself. Yeah. But, you know, we're finding ways to do that. So I was just really excited and wanted to share the community garden that we're working on with you all.
It's so exciting. I can't wait till we get him.
Yeah, same here.
I want to say that I maybe am embarrassed of not knowing certain things, but also I want to be honest about it because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And everybody starts somewhere with that.
Right. And there's no shame in not knowing either. Like, it's hard to learn those things when you don't grow up with it.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, we've been in this cycle where we just have to pay the bills and put food on the table and live in a house. And that's, all that we can put our time and energy into. But more and more, I think environmental justice is going to continue to intersect in all of those different things. And it's a conversation that needs to be had now and into the future too.
Yeah. And once people are able to start making those connections like on their own and realizing what or how deep environmental justice goes, then there'll be so much more.
Yeah. And so with that, I know we only have a couple minutes left, so we just wanted to share again that Shauna and I are here to help you all. If you want to talk about environmental justice, we're more than happy to. Or if you want to just look into some of the programs that we offer for the utility bill assistance, clean mobility options, and then also home efficiency upgrades, we're happy to talk about that too. And to help you guys get, that money that's coming in from the state. Because it's here for us, and like Emily said, we don't want to lose it before we can even make use of it for us and our people. So please feel free to call or text us. Our number is 626-660-0196. And I think with that, we can hand it back to Emily for our final thoughts and closing.
Thank you so much, ladies. There was a very inspirational talk that you did tonight. So with that, I'll leave it with the listeners. And if anybody have any question, just call the number straight. Then you get all the answers. Thank you so much, ladies. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Mea lele.
You too.
Kai mea lele pensini o naukau ke tāna gilahi ke wheliuri waki o ea. I lele loloa o kuiku kono whauri o ea, mo na whakamawhana ilahi o mamani, mo maalunga ngeai ai tahi, o whaingata ngeai ki o tau ngahi whamiri o tumotu ke nau mo ui fie maarie. Lili ulewa he ahoni, mi he pensini ke mea lele uhila, mi he SoCal PIRCT. O kumao e he mautimi empower ha u totongi whakafoki tai totongi, mo polo kalama ke whakawhaingofua mo whainga maarie ai whakawhetongi. Telefoni, ono wa ono noa, noa taha hiwano. Ke tokoni o whakasisi ai uri o ea mo malui ho tau kakai.
Radio Wake tai whalau ni motok mea mai ke tau polo kalama koia pe mo e Southern California Pacific Islanders Community Response Team pe mo ngahi whamatala whekau aki mo mahu inga koia e polo kalama koe ne une toko ni iki taua a koe pe moau pe mo kakai o tumoto e Pasiki ke tau lava o matatari ngai whainga taa o mai e whiliuri waki ai ea koe tau polo kalama hoko koe atu pe tau ngai whasi koe houain mo e ofaanga tuku at pe whasi ma au mo ofaanga ke mo ki toi nga koe e whiawhini pa ke pōpō tala noa pe mo ia mo e whasi koe
Tuinga mapa See
Is your vehicle failing its smog check?
Oh no!
We got you covered. Call our Empire team at the Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team for free financial assistance. 626-660-1096.
Radio Tonga VTF would like to remind you to make time for your health so you don't lose time for the things you love. An updated COVID vaccine restores protection that has decreased over time, including protections against severe illness, hospitalization, and the worst effects of COVID. If your last COVID vaccine or booster was before September 2022, it's time for an updated vaccine. Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Visi mu, ako te tolu i pele si tapu ke lulu Ko to lava lava i hea he moe punga Lau kau anga ki he pai ni mo Ao ka so pea kawa e ua puko mo Na tuli ki e kua mui a e ko Na mate ki e moto Ko to ki i moura Male hoku ata mai ke whakamatala He pio ka lafi sia anga anga Isa he matangi na kuolaka Viringi ai ampani he fisinawa Amusia muasi aho moe po Moe mahina, sia ne hopo Sia totua ofa, sia kove iongo Si halapaini, kua te tukulolo Angi e matangi, whakahahake Ka te ukuma, e te ofa mamae E fiafi hifo, ka te unala tope Si ka hosi weli, o kuke ife Le vai malanga kau fokia Au paini tu ua ke manatu Halasalo te hoku o patu Pili o te heka ke whakakaukau Le vai malanga kau fokia O paini tukua ke manatu Halasalo te hoku o patu Pili o te heka ke
O whamanatu me le ti o tonga VTF, ke tokanga ki o mo uilelei ko uhi kai lahi ho taimi ki ngai mea oku ke ofai. Ko huu malu i COVID whamumui tene malu i koe me e puke lahi, to roto whare maki mo ngai nunu a COVID o e COVID. O ka pauna ke huu malu i COVID whamumui taha ki mua i se pitema wafe ma wowa, o ku fuu fie mauia ke whakahoko i wawe taha a ho'ohuhu malu i whakamuimui taha. Te tau malava pe o whakapaangaeni e US Department of Health and Human Services.
Pe mautokon ke totongi ho ngai mo ua uhila pe kasa, whakatamai ke teng mautau ke mautokon iat. Telefoni ke Empower, ono wa ono noa taha hiwa ono.
Need help paying your electric or gas bill? Let us help you. Call Empower at 626-660-1096.
Oi, oi, ke ala ke tawa e wahe ai mamahi o e ku ofa whanga i uiha e o whewhe ua te ngihia si hala salote te utari pe i na opure katoe fika i hao palomesi si i mai pe peaka i kai elele i pe liu e makana ka te una loto pe o iaue e lato afe si ma uini kua fekita moe bate ka koe o whana
United Kingdom of Foa. Ka tau mua ngāwe ki whakaivia ai ngahi family e wāhenga Foa. I tau lele yange ai tō ngā whakako. Mo ui hai sini hange koe tauhi e ngahi apolo e maa. O ngā whakaekonomika o hange koe whakatupulaki e mau anga ngāwe. O aki ngāwe i whalehanga o kanga. Tai, o mauto e rau kawe i foki ai maho inga ke iai hapalani ngāwe i hoko whalala anga i whanonga anga oi mo ui. E tau mo mataha i ki piki hama kai vai manawa. Wātolo aki whakalaka ke tūloa e ki kai mo inu ai ai tau tangata oi wāhinga Foa. O mauto wā ke whai o mauto uku ingata e le lei whalu fua a koe moa o e tangata i whanua o Foa. Ababato, United Kingdom of Foa.
Looking to make your home more energy efficient? Empower at Southern California Pacific Islander Community Response Team offers free programs to help you. Call us 626-660-1096.
Si o loto ange ki ha katoanga a o whaangata ko ke whatavala a ki a fuki ha mua aku makehe. Makehe ono au, makehe ono lahi, makehe ono lanupe, makehe ono mea kotoa. I kai te ke manu meri ia, pia ke tau whakatumu he ne makehe. Koe ngai makehe ko ia te ke maupe koe me lo taki enterprises. Koe mau ke ha mua aku lalanga mai pia me ha moa o whakatatau pe ki o whie mau he te ke toki laulo taha pia ke toi mahulu o hange koe mahina mo la a. Tālewa ke whika telefoni nima ono ua noa ono nima fitu hiwa. Nima ono ua noa ono nima fitu hiwa. Oua te ke manawasi he te tatok ti saile e tau hafo i tāwala ke mahino e lava pe ke toi paki i mai mo fitu u. Te ufus te opuai kai tok wha osi atu e whika telefoni nima ono ua noa ono nima fitu hiwa. Pea moe Lotaki Enterprises.
Oh Pepe,
Peta ke I hula I kasi I kakana Kua puli